Shadowbinders are practitioners of magic who can bend shadows to their will. It is not exactly known where the practice of shadowbinding originated. However, Melisandre hails from the Shadowlands near Ahai. In this video, I'm going to discuss a theory in which I found on Reddit/freefolk about the possibility of Jon Snow and Daenerys using a shadow baby to assassinate the Night King. Before we get started, and because you guys are so freaking amazing, I'm actually having a giveaway in which a winner will be selected on 4/20 for a $100 Amazon gift card. All you have to do to enter this giveaway is slap a like on this video, make sure you're subscribed, then go ahead and turn your notifications on so that way you get alerted whenever I drop a Game of Thrones video throughout this long night. Also, go ahead and follow the gleam.io pinned in the top comment of this video to answer all the different bonus ways. Okay, so this theory actually comes from the user Curse Me or Kiss Me on Reddit/freefolk, and the theory is actually titled Jon Snow unknowingly impregnated Dany with a shadow baby. So the gist of this theory is the fact that we know Melisandre resurrected Jon Snow using the Lord of Light. This instilled him with powers of the Lord of Light, one of those powers being shadow binding. This person thinks that when Jon Snow and Daenerys consummated on the boat, Jon Snow impregnated Daenerys the same way that happened with Melisandre and Stannis, where they had sex together and then a shadow baby was born and went and killed Renly. Well, in the novels, this actually happens twice. The second time was when Stannis was laying siege to Storm's End. There was a bastard who was there of Robert Baratheon's, and he kind of wouldn't give up the castle, so Stannis did this again, and he had a shadow assassin go and kill Courtney Penrose. So it actually happens, more than one time, and it's interesting when it does happen because Stannis is noticeably, by Davos anyway, he's noticeably had a lot taken out of him. It's said that his eyes, where his eyes were, they're just super sunken in, and Davos knows that Stannis just looks way worse than he did the last time he saw him before he did this shadow assassin ceremony with Melisandre, which is basically intercourse. So in this person's theory, they're basically saying that Jon Snow has a similar power to this, and when he consummated with Daenerys, they made a shadow baby. This shadow baby will go and assassinate the Night King. Now, I know that sounds crazy tinfoiling, but there's a little bit more support to this theory. We do know that Melisandre told Daenerys that she was barren and she would never have a child again. She didn't say anything about shadow babies. What I took away from, what Melisandre was telling Daenerys in these moments was the fact that, yes, she would never naturally conceive a child because she's barren. And if you look at it, her family history kind of, explains that. There's a little bit of science. The science behind that being that her family has inbred for such a long time. I wouldn't be surprised if Jon Snow and Daenerys' children suffered from some of the genetic disorders that they're predisposed to because of that long history of inbreeding. Some of those things can include increased genetic disorders, fluctuating facial asymmetry, lower birth rate, higher infant mortality and child mortality rate, smaller adult size, and then just the general loss of immune system function. These are all the types of crazy things that Jon Snow and Daenerys face when they find out they're pregnant. Now, obviously, they won't be aware of any of these except for maybe schizophrenia, because they do know that the Mad King was insane. And also, there's an old saying that goes, when you flip a coin when a Targaryen baby is born, and they're either batshit crazy or somewhat normal. So these are just some of the things that Jon Snow and Daenerys have to face. What I think Melisandre was telling Daenerys when she says that she's no longer barren is not that Daenerys can't conceive a child, because she can. I think it's more so that Daenerys lost all of her chances of, making a healthy baby when she sacrificed, the baby that she currently had with Khal Drogo to give him life again. When she did that, she unknowingly signed a contract that stated she would never have healthy children again. I think with her and Khal Drogo having such different lineage, their child would have had a fighting chance to be somewhat normal, because we do know that Daenerys is inbred, but her child, not so much. We know that, she would have had it with Khal Drogo, so there was that chance of it being somewhat healthy and, the stallion that mounts the world. Now that she's having it with Jon Snow, who is technically her nephew, it kind of, it opens up that floodgates again where you let all those possibilities of that happening. I honestly think that there's more of instead of just an actual physical sacrifice she made, it's more of a long-term sacrifice that you can't really see. It's not in the physical state yet. And that being that she got power for, losing the ability to procreate. Because she got the power that she wanted, she lost the ability to, make her line go further. She could most likely be the last of her name. What that means is that she basically sacrifices one thing for another. We do know that magic in this story and in many others is you kind of have to sacrifice something to get that magic. You can't just have magic with personal gain and not have any consequences to it. So one of the consequences that Daenerys unwillingly faced was the fact that she will never be able to procreate. She's the last of her name. She is the last dragon, her and Jon Snow anyway. So what this could potentially mean is the fact that our heroes have sacrificed so much to gain so much, they can't have a normal happy ending. It's just not going to work to have Jon Snow and Daenerys either both live or one of them dies and then they have a child and they're able to further, you know, the Targaryen line, and eventually that child will grow up to rule Westeros and maybe bring peace to the nation. It's not going to quite end like that. And I would honestly, I don't know how I feel. It's kind of like, I want you guys to let me know down below right now, like, how would you feel? Would you willingly sacrifice Jon Snow and Daenerys' child if you knew that it was going to grow up to become the shadow assassin and go and kill the Night King? If you knew that that meant that Jon Snow and Daenerys lived in the end, would you willingly sacrifice that? Like, let's take a poll down in the comment section. I want to know what you guys would do. I honestly am so torn in this decision, I couldn't tell you. But I will say that it makes for a great bittersweet ending. One thing that the user Curse Me or Kiss Me pointed out in their theory was the fact that Melisandre mentions to Varys that she's done her part. She's brought ice and fire together. And they thought that this meant that, you know, Melisandre understood the fact that the only thing that was going to be able to kill the Night King was the union of ice and fire, the shadow baby that Jon Snow and Daenerys would create, I guess, and it would go off and kill the Night King. I don't necessarily know if that's what Melisandre was referring to when she said that I brought together ice and fire, because to be honest, I doubt that the end game involves a shadow baby from Jon Snow and Daenerys. But it is a possibility, and it's definitely outside the box, and there's definitely some credibility to it when you think about it this way. Lightbringer is said to come from Nissa and Azor Ahai, the prince who was promised. These prophecies are all sort of intermingled. What if instead of a literal, you know, Nissa was stabbed through the heart with a sword, maybe it was the act of procreation. Maybe they had sex, and when they consummated, their relationship brought about Lightbringer, and this Lightbringer was used to destroy the Long Night. Now, Lightbringer, in that reference or that frame of thought, that could be used as like a child that eventually grew up and was able to overcome the Long Night and push the Night King and the White Walkers back beyond the wall. You could look at it that way, or you could look at it as, since everything's opposite, everything's cyclical by nature in Game of Thrones, Lightbringer could literally be a Shadowbringer, a shadow baby working through the Lord of Light to go and kill the Night King. We do know that these guys can dematerialize and rematerialize like it's nothing, so this would be one of the best ways to get in and kill the Night King. I know it would be crazy insane out of left field because no one would see it coming, which is why I want to give props to Curse Me or Kiss Me, because this is definitely an original awesome theory, so mad props to them. I don't know what you could do. I guess you could go on Reddit and upvote this post so that, you know, they can get all that Reddit karma, but it's just it would definitely come out of left field, and I don't want to 100% rule it out because there is a possibility to it. We do know that this is how Stannis has killed one of his, you know, enemies prior, his brother Renly, and he's also killed another person in the book. So it's not necessarily foreshadowed on the show, but it has been mentioned before. And since our heroes have gained so much, they've also sacrificed so much. But honestly, I feel like they have to lose more than they've gained for this to be Game of Thrones. It has to be a bittersweet ending. So if that's the case, Jon Snow was stabbed by a group of his peers, and then he's brought back to life. He hasn't really lost too much of anything. He didn't lose his humanity. He didn't lose his home. He didn't get brought back and then get killed again. He hasn't really lost anything since he's been brought back. If anything, he's gained Winterfell, so he's gained so much. So he's set in this next season to lose a lot. Daenerys has lost a lot. She's also gained a lot. I honestly think at the position that she is now, when you combine the two of them and their assets, they're honestly at a position now than they could have wished to have ever been at the start of our story. They could not have been further apart. Now they're together as one. They both will be able to find happiness with each other, and maybe that's part of the bittersweet, is they will only find happiness with each other, and they know that they're the last of their lines, setting us up, or setting us all up to think that they're going to be having a child and then taking it away from them. That is definitely a 100% bittersweet ending. Now, as far as the you know, when you think about a little bit of the technicality of this theory, the fact that Jon Snow was gifted with some of the gifts of the Lord of Light when he was resurrected through Melisandre, there's not really that much of, you know, credibility to that in the novels. Beric doesn't possess special powers after being brought back by Thoros, so it's not really known as far as, you know, inhibiting or being granted some of the gifts that are granted and bestowed upon people who are priests of the Lord of Light. We don't know if people that he resurrects are given gifts other than just having their life brought back. So, you know, that kind of is a red flag right there to this theory. It kind of throws a kink in that system, as we've never seen something like that before. Although it's possible, let me know what you guys think down below about this theory. Do you think that Jon Snow and Daenerys are set to create a shadow baby to go and kill the Night King? Or do you think that it's more they won't be able to have children and Daenerys isn't actually pregnant and her and Jon Snow will survive in the end, and that bittersweet ending is they are the last of their names. They are the last dragons, and there will never be other Targaryens or just people with their same lineage left in the world after they die. Let me know what you think about all that down below in the comment section. Real quick before we wrap this video up, there was actually some news that was announced by Melisandre, the actress who plays her, Carice Van Houten. I actually follow her on Instagram, and in her stories from yesterday, or I guess at this point, while I'm recording this video, I guess it was a few days ago. But anyway, she posted a sign, or a picture of a sign rather, and she had wrote RIP music. She usually plays like some crappy modern day music behind it and kind of just says like, this is, you know, the path that music is going down. It's RIP that. Carice Van Houten is a musician herself. But anyway, if you look at the road sign, it said Belfast. So that confirms that Melisandre is back in action for Game of Thrones Season 8, and she's going to be filming. There has not been hardly any news about her popping up thus far. So honestly, in my opinion, that means that she's going to be filming indoors. This could be the first set of filming she's done for the season so far. We know that we're breaking it up. We know that there is some action going on right now involving the Unsullied, the Dothraki, and an army of the dead. So, you know, there's potential that those are kind of intertwined, although I doubt it. I think the main reason why Melisandre is filming these indoor scenes and they want to do it in the studio is because she's over in Volantis, and we may be actually seeing the inside of the Red Priest Temple of R'hllor over in Volantis. So if this is the case, she doesn't really need to be outdoors because most of those sets are going to be built indoors, and they're going to be using a lot of green screens and stuff. Maybe at this point, with the increased budget, they don't even have to ship her or kind of send her to a location to go and film outdoors. They could likely do it all with green screen and maybe just film sectionally outdoors to sort of give her that vibe of being in Essos. I don't really know what to expect, but, you know, you guys let me know down below what you think this means with Melisandre coming back at this point into the fray and starting to film right now in Game of Thrones Season 8. Also, if you want me to do a video on a lot of those recent spoilers about what's going on in the Belfast studios in Northern Ireland, let me know down below in the comment section. I'll make a video just strictly talking about filming spoilers for Game of Thrones Season 8. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. If you could, please slap a like on it. The like goal is going to be 420. If you want to be entered into my contest to win this $100 Amazon gift card, the winner of which will be selected on 420, haha, get it? All you have to do to enter that contest is slap a like on this video, leave a comment down below, make sure you're subscribed, then go ahead and turn your notifications on so that way you'll get alerted every single time I drop a Game of Thrones video throughout this long night. Also, check out the gleam.io pinned in the top comment of this video, so that way you can go and enter all the different bonus ways. I want to thank you all again so much for watching. Super special shout out to every single member of my Patreon family over on patreon.com/SirHuntsReviews, especially to Terry and Lynn Shaw. Without all of you all, these videos would not be possible, and if you want to show your support, you can check the link right up here or check the link down below in the description. My name's Mark, and this has been Sir Hunts Reviews. If you've watched until the end of this video, well then you must be a true fan. Go ahead and pat yourself on the back, and also give yourself a kiss, courtesy of Sir Hunts